Good morning. I'm out here on this fine, beautiful June morning with daily temps in the mid 90s here in central Pennsylvania. And I'm getting ready for both the state field shoot and the NFAA, National Field Archery Association Outdoor Field Championship, which is held at the Mechanics Sportsman's Club in Pennsylvania. I'm looking forward to going to the States to give me 2 days practice before the national 3-day shoot. And one of the most important things now is to address any possible weaknesses that might be in my shot process. So I'm doing that today. For me, the most difficult part of the shot is the release itself. And I reviewed some footage from last summer when I was preparing for the state field shoot, and I wasn't too happy with what I saw with my release hand. I could see myself just like releasing and just letting all tension go like that, and I have shot that way for a very long time. However, I do know for a fact that there's a better way to shoot. In order to go from a tense position and to this position, which I was doing that quickly, obviously I'm very aware of when I'm shooting, and I suspect that I may be anticipating the shot and really relaxing quickly. Technically, if you're properly tensioned going through into follow through, there's not enough time in your physiological process to relax that much where like wrist will drop down and stuff. So technically, what I really want to do and what I will do and what I'll drill into my mind is to basically go from this position here, my anchor point, going through the expansion, get the best alignment possible. And then what I want to have happen is basically all I have to do is go to here. That's it, just boom. So in other words, I don't want to see my fingers fly, like purposely flying open. I definitely don't want to see my wrist dropping down, because that's a loss of tension. I know what I need to do. Now I'm just going to practice. I'm going to drill it away. I got 6 arrows in my quiver. I'm going to go ahead and take about 50 shots here this morning, working on just my release. And this will pay off, absolutely pay off with my shooting process and my confidence when I have to compete. So here's how we do it. I can also verbalize this out loud. I'll verbalize the release procedure. On the rest of it, I'm going to keep silent for now because I'm absolutely focusing on this release. Okay, from here, I'm going to go to my follow through position, and I'm going to go through my soft trigger. Now, I could tell that there was a slight collapse, and then I went back into my constantly extending position. So I kind of fixed it there at the last minute, but that shows how much of a form flaw I have. What I'm looking for, again, is this just kind of coming right back. Now, the string will slip through the fingers. If you ever want to see the best release that I've ever seen by an American archer, just look at Brady. Just look at that release, man. I know that he develops calluses on his fingers because it's just so smooth. It's just slipping through there. He knows exactly how important that release is. But you can also look at Korean archers, especially the women's team. You'll see the same thing. It just slips through their fingers, and they have an exact movement they go through every time with the follow-through. And the follow-through is the release. In other words, I'm never thinking about releasing the arrow. I'm thinking about moving to the follow-through position to get the best release possible. So I address the bullseye. I look at the center of the bullseye that I want to hit. Assuming I already have an arrow nocked, and I set my crawl. So the way I do it is I just do it by finger position, and once I get like a finger reference, then I start counting serving threads down. So for example, here, for what I do, now this is the easiest method. It may not be the most accurate, but it's the easiest method that I know of. So when I'm going to shoot 10 yards, what I do is I just get my normal hook position and I come down with my thumb. What I do is I go to the bottom of my ring finger, or my middle finger here, and I simply go down about 3 more serving threads, and then I match it up there. It's an easy way to do it. It may not be the most accurate, but it works for me. So now I address the target again, and then I go to draw. So I put my fist right on the bullseye I want to hit, so the target's actually disappeared at this point. And I draw as much as I can with my triceps here. Come back to anchor. Now I set the string blur where I put the string in the middle of the riser. Now I go through my expansion and go through the safety at the same time. Now I'm getting ready to shoot. I'm going to go through into follow through, and I'm going to go through a soft trigger at the same time. Alright, so I'm getting better. I'm not too concerned whether or not I'm actually drilling the bullseye or not at this point. What I am doing is I'm developing my shot process into my internal clock, my internal mind, and I'll tell you, by verbalizing it out loud, it should just imprint it strongly into your internal shot process. So I'll go through the details again. So I address the target, I look at the bullseye, and I kind of set my stance the way I like it. For me, it's just a very slight open stance. And I do make a habit of actually squaring my shoulders to the bullseye, because that will affect your windage. If you start like shooting like this, it's just affecting the alignment. I will go ahead and mention that Brady Ellison has a very unique form that he uses just for himself, and he actually stands almost completely facing the target with his chest, and then he rotates his whole body around and gets into alignment. If that works for you, awesome. For me, I'm going to start with my shoulders pretty much aligned, even though I have a slightly open stance, so there's a very slight twist here in my torso. Okay, so I just set my sling for my bow hand. Now I'm setting my hook, so I'm counting down the bottom of that middle finger, going about 3 servings down, locking that in. Now that's done, and I'm going to set my hook position, and that won't change. So again, I look at the center of the bullseye, I raise the bow, and draw with my triceps. I put the center of the string in the center of the riser. Now I go through my expansion and safety. From here, I'm going to move into my follow through position while I go through a soft trigger. Now that was my best release. Those are my first 3 practice releases for today. I'm going to knock out about 50, and I'm going to go home. I'm just going to work on my elements of my shooting process today and my technique, and have faith that by doing so, eventually my scores will go up naturally. So I hope this helps for anyone who's interested in learning process-oriented shooting. And this is different than instinctive shooting. This is a shooting where you're constantly learning and improving based on what you can see, looking down the arrow, and based on feedback that you get constantly every day through practice, also training the mind, and also harmonizing the mind and the body through this visual and verbal process shooting. So I hope this helps. I found, for me as a bow hunter, I have found that this process-oriented shooting works absolutely dynamite on the white-tailed deer. In other words, if I don't follow my process shooting, I will absolutely miss the deer completely, and it's just a laughable thing. I've done it before. If I follow my process, the deer is usually in trouble, So it's just a matter of applying good, solid archery mechanics, whether you're shooting at a target or an animal. I think the deer deserves the best you can give it. So just be ethical and practice and do this mental training, this verbalization training, because you can only get better if you decide that you want to be a process-oriented shooter instead of just an instinctive shooter who shoots and this true instinctive shooter basically is going to go shoot the bow instinctively with just no references, nothing's based on past experience. It's just instinctive. In other words, a true instinctive shooter can shoot with a different anchor point every time, different draw length every time, obviously different positions, different cants, all kinds of stuff, because they're shooting instinctively. And that truly is an art that I have never been successful at, and it's just not for me. I just don't trust it, especially in a hunting situation when I'm shooting a precision instrument such as a recurve bow. Maybe it would work better with a spear, but for shooting a recurve bow, which requires a lot of muscle control, you're pushing with the front side of your body, but you're pulling with the back side, and you're looking for harmony there. And then you got a sight picture and all this stuff. There's a lot to it, and if you want to get consistent groups where you shoot like arrows that are grouping close together, that requires a massive amount of consistency and absolutely total adhesion to your shot process from every single shot. In the fall, if you do everything right, you'll be able to drag out a buck or a doe, and you'll know that you did it the hard way.